Hey everybody, I'm Carl, and this is Life on the Road. So we made it to North Sioux City in South Dakota. As you can see, this is where I'm at, Interbake Foods. We are on, the address here is 1 Devil Foods Avenue or street or road or something like that. But I'm assuming I'm being loaded up with snack cakes. Not quite sure yet. As I turn the camera around though, you can see I am docked. I got here about 2 p.m. Why I thought my appointment was at 2 p.m. I have no idea. Actually, it was 5 p.m. and right now it's nearly 6. They just got me docked. We are waiting on one more pallet of cookies to be done in production and thrown onto the truck, and then we're out of here. We're headed for Woodburn, Oregon, which is 1,666 miles away. So it's going to be a fun drive, I think. Very few. I've got to go up through Montana, across Idaho, across Washington. So it's going to be an absolutely gorgeous drive, which you guys will see. So anyway, we're going to hop back in the truck, wait for them to finish up, and we're going to hit the road. So let's get going, shall we? Well, we made it to Box Elder, South Dakota. I'm on an 8-2 split right now because I pulled over last night to take a 2-hour nap because I was way tired. Apparently sometime in the night I rolled over in my sleep, shut my alarm off, and I slept for 6 hours, which is not a good thing, but luckily I have the time on the run, so it's not going to harm me time-wise. What an 8-2 split does is it allows you to take an 8-hour sleeper berth and get the remaining hours back that are owed to you for the day. So say if you have a really messed up day and in a 14-hour day only are able to use 6 hours of your drive time, taking an 8-2 split rather than a full 10 allows you to get the 5 hours back there, or the 4 hours on your 10-hour drive shift that are coming back to you. Once you get 4 hours down the road, go to off duty for 2 hours, and then 6 more hours end up coming back to you to make it a full day's worth of driving, so you don't lose a lot of time. Anyway, we're getting ready to hit the road. So I have stopped, I have slept, I have eaten, and as you can see behind me, the skies look pretty ominous. It has rained here since I stopped, so free truck wash, yay! Anyway, we're gonna get going, folks. So we will see you back out on the road and after this segment. Okay, so we made it to Missoula, Montana. Not sure of the mileage because I forgot to delete yesterday's mileage, so it's quite a bit. I ended up driving 10 hours and 38 minutes. I only had 22 minutes left on the clock. I got to get out of the way. You got to keep your head on a swivel out here. Someone's backing in. I don't want to get squished. Anyway, I just rolled 50,000 miles on the truck, so it's time for an oil change. So we're going to get the truck ready to do that, get the oil change, and then we're going to go to bed, take a nap, do something. Let's go ahead and get the truck prepped for our oil change and get pulled into the shop. I said I was going to stop in Biggs Junction. I ended up stopping in Boardman, Oregon. It is going to be awfully warm out here today, as you can see by the screenshot I took on my phone. It's supposed to be 109 degrees here Fahrenheit today. So we're just going to stay inside, stay cool. Got the truck running and the air conditioning going. John commented that my truck needed a wash, so there it is, all nice and clean. And so we took care of that. Problem is, John, the reason I don't wash this that often is because if you look at this receipt, you will notice that it cost me a bundle to get this thing washed. It's not like a $10 or $15 car wash. It cost me $115 to get the truck washed. I only do that about twice a month, so if you see a dirty hood, don't mind the dirty hood. Anyway, a lot of people have been asking me some really great questions, so I think we're going to jump back in the truck and try to answer those questions for you really quick. So let's get to that. So here we are back in the truck. I want to answer some questions that you guys have been asking, so I got my phone here and I'm just going to answer them off my phone. I'll read them off of the comments. Ben Traveling said, Carl, I hope you could talk more about the business aspect of being an owner-operator. Not your pay numbers or anything like that, more of how you get into the owner-operator side of things, along with how you get your loads and how often you head home. Well, Ben, that's a really great question. My trucking history, I've only been trucking for about 4 years now, and I never thought that I would be where I'm at today. When I first started, I started with Jim Palmer Trucking out of Missoula, Montana. Great folks. They're very driver oriented, but I was there for about 16 months and I found better pay as a company driver. I ended up moving over to Crete, Schaefer/Hunt, and worked for them for about 8 months. The pay increase was a significant increase, but they just weren't getting me the miles that I wanted. Prior to that, my trainer from Jim Palmer ended up leaving Jim Palmer and coming over to a small mom and pop shop of about 35 trucks out of Meridian, Idaho. I ended up making the jump and became a owner operator, which was actually a lease operator. Beginning of this year, I ended up bought my own truck and became my own entity at the encouragement of the man that I worked for. And that's how all of that started. I love being an owner operator. I find my loads. I got 2 brokers that I currently work with. That is how I find my load. I go directly to the broker. I don't deal with the dispatch. I basically look on their load boards and find my loads from where I'm at. It really cuts down on my deadhead time. As far as going home, I go home about 3 times a year to visit. Other than that, I will try to pull through once a month, once every other month for a day or 2 here. But as far as spending like a week or 10 days at home, I only do it about 3 times a year. So great question. David Smith asked me, he said, "Hi Carl, thanks for the video. I was wondering if you only have a short distance to travel if I break up my travel time." I do not. And there's a twofold reason for that. The first one being, I want to make sure I get where I'm going. So I try to run a hard run up until the end, and then if I have half a day or a day's extra time to get where I'm going, secondfold, it actually gives me time to go see something or go do something that I want to do, knowing that I'm a very short distance away from my delivery. So I always run hard at first and leave that extra time at the end. So my next question comes from Alex. He says, "Thanks for posting. I've always been interested in trucking and I really like your channel. I have a question. What are some misconceptions when it comes to trucking?" He's got 2 questions. We'll answer this one first. The biggest misconception of trucking is that it is a 9-to-5 job and it's really easy and I'm home every night. And that is a yes and no question. Driving forward is pretty much driving forward. It's not that hard. The hardest part you're going to find is learning to shift gears, learning to double clutch, and backing into a parking space into some really tight parking. Those are the difficulties that I find as far as that goes. As far as the whole either 9-to-5 thing or I'm home every night, it actually depends on what kind of job that you take once you start trucking. There are 3 types that I know of. There is local, which is where you go into work in the morning, you jump in your truck, you make your deliveries around town, and then drop your truck off at night, and yes, you do go home every night. The second is regional. And I got a really good friend of mine, Robert. He is actually a regional driver for a produce company up there. He runs and comes into work like on a Monday morning and jumps in his truck and he runs to Salt Lake City and up to Montana and all sorts of stuff, and then he's home on Friday or Saturday and he's home for a couple of days, and that's considered a 34-hour reset to reset his clock back to 70 hours, because them regional guys sometimes drive pretty hard. So they try to take a couple of days off every 7 or 8 days to get their reset in, spend time with their family, and then they're back out on the road again. The third type is over the road, or OTR is what we call it. That's the role I play. Because I don't have anything keeping me at home, I'm out on the road months at a time, 3, 4, 5 months. Like I was said earlier, I only go home 3 times a year. Normally the first time is in April. The second time I go home in July, and the third time I go home is normally Thanksgiving. I don't bother going home for Christmas. I work over Christmas. I work over New Year's. I work over every holiday. So if you find that that doesn't work for you, OTR is not the job for you. This is a lifestyle. My hours vary greatly. I could be driving daytime sometimes, nighttime most of the time. I prefer to drive at night. You just kind of have to drive what the load permits. You're going to get sleep deprivation sometimes. Your eyes are going to get foggy. You're going to have to pull over and take naps. I do every once in a while. I find I have to pull over and take a 2-hour nap, get back up and keep driving for the day. So it all depends on what you're used to. Again, it is a lifestyle. It's not just a job. So there you go. That answers that question. So Alex asked us a second question. What are some skills required to start trucking? Which is a really great question, Alex. It really helps if you know how to drive a clutch. They do have automatic trucks out on the road, but if you decide to go through a truck driving school, I recommend learning to use a clutch before you go to school. They're going to have you doing what's called double clutching. They do have automatic trucks. If you choose to train in an automatic truck, a restriction is normally put on your driver's license saying automatic truck only. So I recommend learning in a stick, and then if you want to switch to an automatic, or the company you go to work for puts you in automatic, it's no big deal. You still have that experience driving the stick shift. So that's a really great question, Alex. I appreciate you asking. So quite a few people have been asking me how much I paid for my truck. Out the door, it was $164,000. Luckily, I was able to save $60,000. I actually saved I saved like $85,000 actually, but I put $60,000 down on the truck and I financed the other $100,000. But come this Monday, which I'm going to show you on video, as a matter of fact, I had just purchased my own trailer. So that's coming. So now I'm going to be my own entity. If you guys have any more questions about the job, about me, about anything like that, please feel free to throw them in the comments. I'm more than happy to answer them. So that rounds it up for this. I'm going to get going. I'm going to get some of this video edited, and we're going to get back on the road later tonight. So I'll see you then. Well, that is that. Another successful on-time delivery from Silverback Trucking. That's the end of this episode. I did have a trip after this one, but it was only a day and a half long, which would have made for a whole 2 minutes of footage, so I didn't bother. So right now we're getting ready to run up and pick up my new trailer. And it's not new, it's used, but new to me. Anyway, so until next time, keep the shiny side up, keep the hammer down. This is Carl. I'll see ya.